Welcome back, everybody, for another deep dive into some fascinating new research.
It's really exciting to see what's come across our desk this week.
Absolutely, and it seems like every day there's a new breakthrough, particularly in bioinformatics and computational biology.
It really does feel that way.
Yeah, so let's dive right in.
Sounds good.
Okay, so first up, we've got this study on the Korean long-tailed chicken.
Yeah,
It's not every day we get to talk chicken genomes on the show.
it is a pretty unique one. I think what's really interesting here is that they didn't just sequence one chicken's genome. They actually created what's called a pangenome based on 40 different Gallus assemblies.
Okay, hold on for a sec. For those of us who don't speak fluent genetics, what exactly does pangenome mean? And why is having 40 chicken genomes so important?
So you can think of it like this. Imagine a library where each book represents an individual chicken's genome. A pangenome is like having a master index that catalogs every single gene and variation found across all those books.
Okay, I'm starting to get it.
And having 40 genomes in this index gives us a much richer understanding of chicken diversity.
I see.
It allows us to pinpoint genes associated with specific traits like disease resistance or even tail length.
This is like having a much bigger, more detailed map of chicken genetics.
Exactly. And this map can be incredibly useful for things like breeding programs. We can now identify specific genetic markers that lead to, say, healthier or faster growing chickens, which could have a big impact on poultry production.
So this research could actually help put tastier, healthier chicken on our plates.
Potentially, yeah.
That's pretty cool, but it's not just about food, right? You mentioned disease resistance earlier.
Absolutely. Understanding the chicken genome can also help us learn more about diseases that affect both chickens and humans. By studying how genes function in chickens, we can gain insights into potential therapeutic targets for human diseases.
Wow, so those chickens are helping us in more ways than one. Okay, let's switch gears from the farm to the world of traditional Chinese medicine. We also have this study about an AI that can identify complex herbal remedies.
Yeah, this is really interesting.
Is this something you've been following?
Oh, definitely. Traditional Chinese medicine often involves complex mixtures of herbs, and it can be difficult even for experienced practitioners to identify all the ingredients accurately.
Yeah, for sure.
This AI, however, uses a sophisticated combination of knowledge distillation and cross-attention to analyze images of herbal preparations and pinpoint the specific herbs used.
Hold on, break those terms down for me.
Yeah.
Knowledge distillation and cross-attention, they sound pretty sci-fi.
Okay, so think of it like this. Knowledge distillation is like teaching a student by having them learn from the best teacher in the field. In this case, the AI is learning from a vast database of herbal knowledge. Cross-attention, on the other hand, is like giving the AI the ability to focus on specific parts of the image and make connections between different visual cues.
So it's not just matching shades, it's actually understanding the relationship between different ingredients.
Precisely. And this is what makes this AI so powerful. It's not just identifying herbs, it's understanding the context and potential interactions between them.
Wow. So this could have huge implications for traditional medicine.
Definitely. It could make traditional medicine more accessible, standardized, and potentially even lead to personalized treatments based on an individual's specific needs.
That's amazing. It's like having a virtual herbalist at your fingertips.
Cool.
Okay, you ready to tackle another study?
Hit me?
This one hits close to home for a lot of people. Knee osteoarthritis.
Unfortunately, yeah. A very common condition.
Exactly. And this study we have here uses machine learning to identify potential biomarkers for knee osteoarthritis. Can you explain what a biomarker is and why this is so significant?
Sure. So a biomarker is basically like a red flag that signals something might be amiss in the body.
Gotcha.
In this case, the researchers use machine learning algorithms to analyze clinical data and identify specific molecules or patterns in the data that could indicate early signs of knee osteoarthritis.
So these biomarkers could help doctors diagnose the condition earlier, even before symptoms appear.
That's the hope. Earlier diagnosis means earlier intervention, which can significantly improve patient outcomes.
This is such important work, especially since so many people suffer from knee osteoarthritis. Okay, ready for another deep dive? This one involves a fascinating blend of biophysics and deep learning, specifically in the realm of 3D medical imaging.
Oh yeah. Improving 3D deep learning segmentation with biophysically motivated cell synthesis. Quite a mouthful, that title.
It is. Yeah, break it down for us. What exactly does that mean?
Okay, so imagine you're trying to teach a computer to recognize different types of cells in a 3D image, like a scan of a tumor. You could use thousands of real images to train the AI, but that can be time-consuming and expensive.
Makes sense. So what's the alternative?
These researchers created synthetic cells using biophysical models. They're basically computer-generated cells that look and behave like the real thing based on our understanding of the laws of physics that govern biological systems.
So they're training the AI on virtual cells instead of real ones.
Exactly. And it turns out that by incorporating this biophysical knowledge, the AI becomes much better at segmenting real images, meaning it can accurately identify and outline different cell types even in complex and noisy images.
So it's not just about showing the AI a bunch of pictures. It's about teaching it the underlying rules of how cells actually work.
Precisely.
Hmm.
And this leads to more accurate and reliable results, particularly in medical imaging where precision is paramount.
This is fascinating stuff. Okay, ready for one more before we take a quick break?
Yeah.
This one's all about the heart, literally.
Okay, let's hear it.
This study describes a new deep learning algorithm that can analyze electrocardiograms, or EKGs, to identify something called cardiac wall motion abnormalities.
Oh,
First of all, refresh my memory. What's an EKG again?
sure. An EKG is a simple test that records the electrical activity of your heart. It's commonly used to detect rhythm problems like a fast or irregular heartbeat.
Right, so how is this new algorithm different?
Mhm.
What are cardiac wall motion abnormalities and why should we care?
Well, these abnormalities refer to problems with the way your heart muscle contracts and pumps blood. Traditionally, EKGs haven't been very good at detecting these issues. This new algorithm, however, uses deep learning to analyze subtle patterns in the EKG signal that can indicate these wall motion abnormalities.
So it's like the AI is listening to your heartbeat with a more sensitive ear, picking up on things that doctors might miss with traditional methods.
Exactly. And this is a big deal because problems with the heart's pumping ability can lead to serious complications like heart failure. Catching these issues early can be life-saving.
Wow, this is truly groundbreaking stuff. I'm already amazed by all the incredible research we've covered, and we're just getting started.
There's so much more to come.
Welcome back. We're in the midst of exploring some truly groundbreaking research that you sent us, all focused on how technology is transforming the world of biology and medicine. Before the break, we were talking about an AI that can detect heart problems just by listening to your heartbeat.
Yeah, it really is remarkable.
It is. Okay, let's switch gears to something a bit more industrial. You also sent in this study about how researchers are using machine learning to engineer better enzymes.
Oh, yeah.
Can you remind us what enzymes are and why this is such a big deal?
Sure. So enzymes are basically like tiny molecular machines that speed up chemical reactions. They're essential for life, and they're also used in a wide range of industrial processes, from food production to biofuel manufacturing.
Right. I remember learning about them in high school biology, but how are scientists using machine learning to make them even better?
Well, they're using a clever strategy called ICASE, which stands for Iterative Computer-Aided Substrate Engineering. It involves using machine learning algorithms to analyze vast amounts of data on enzyme structure and function, and then using that information to design new enzymes with enhanced properties.
So it's like they're using AI to tweak the blueprints of these tiny machines, making them work more efficiently or under different conditions.
Exactly. This particular study focused on improving the thermostability and activity of enzymes. Thermostability means making them more resistant to heat, which is important for industrial processes that operate at high temperatures. Activity refers to how efficiently they catalyze a reaction.
Got it. So hotter, faster enzymes. What are some of the potential applications of this technology?
Oh, the possibilities are endless. More efficient biofuel production development of new biomaterials, even advancements in drug development. Imagine creating enzymes that can break down pollutants or produce valuable chemicals with less energy and waste.
That's incredible. It seems like this IK strategy could really revolutionize a lot of industries.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on to another fascinating area of research that you sent in, hyperaldosteronism. Can you give us a quick overview of what this condition is and why it's important to study?
So hyperaldosteronism is a hormonal disorder where the adrenal glands produce too much aldosterone, a hormone that helps regulate blood pressure.
Okay.
This can lead to a whole cascade of problems, including hypertension, headaches, and even heart issues.
So it's a serious condition that can have a big impact on people's health. What's exciting about this particular study you sent in?
This study uses a sophisticated integrative bioinformatics approach to identify potential new drug targets for hyperaldosteronism. They essentially combine data from multiple sources, including genomic data-protein interactions, and even clinical data from patients to pinpoint promising targets for new medications.
So they're using the power of big data and computational analysis to find new ways to treat this condition.
Exactly. And one target in particular stood out, SHMT1.
Interesting.
This molecule plays a key role in certain metabolic pathways that seem to be dysregulated in hyperaldosteronism.
So by targeting SHMT1 with new drugs, they could potentially address the root cause of the problem.
That's the hope. Of course, more research is needed, but this study provides a promising roadmap for developing new therapies for hyperaldosteronism.
That's fantastic news for people struggling with this condition. It's amazing how bioinformatics is changing the game when it comes to drug discovery. Yeah, okay, ready for something completely different? This next study you sent in caught my eye because it deals with cervical cancer, a topic that unfortunately affects far too many women.
Yeah, absolutely. An important area of research for sure.
It mentions something called prognostic consensus molecular subtypes, being predicted from histology images using deep learning. Can you break that down for us?
Histology images are basically microscopic images of tissues.
Okay.
In this case, they're looking at images of cervical cancer cells. Prognostic consensus molecular subtypes refer to different categories of cervical cancer that have different prognosis, meaning they behave differently and respond to treatment in different ways.
So some types are more aggressive or resistant to treatment than others.
Exactly. And that's why accurately classifying the subtype is so important. It helps doctors tailor treatment to the individual patient, improving their chances of a positive outcome.
So how does deep learning come into play here?
The researchers trained a deep learning algorithm to analyze these histology images and predict which subtype of cervical cancer a patient has. This could potentially help doctors make more informed treatment decisions, leading to better outcomes for patients.
That's incredible. It's like giving doctors a powerful new tool to see the unseen, to understand the nuances of each patient's cancer. Okay, shifting gears once again, let's talk about a data resource called Bond-Bead AOE, which you also included in your list of studies.
Ah, yes, this is a really valuable resource for researchers studying neonatal brain injury.
Can you tell us more about that? What is neonatal brain injury and why is this data resource so important?
Neonatal brain injury refers to damage to a baby's brain that occurs during labor or shortly after birth. It can be caused by various factors such as a lack of oxygen or blood flow to the brain. One of the most common types is called hypoxic ischemic encephalopathy, or HIE.
So this is a serious condition that can have long-term consequences for these infants.
Absolutely. It can lead to a range of developmental problems, including cerebral palsy, intellectual disabilities, and seizures. That's why research in this area is so crucial. We need to understand the causes, mechanisms, and potential treatments for neonatal brain injury.
And that's where Bond-Bead comes in.
Exactly. Bond-Bead stands for Boston Neonatal Brain Injury Data for Hypoxic Ischemic Encephalopathy. It's a comprehensive data resource that includes MRI scans and detailed clinical information from infants with HIE. This data can be used by researchers all over the world to study the condition in more detail, develop better diagnostic tools, and hopefully find new ways to prevent or treat HIE.
This is a powerful example of how data sharing and collaboration can accelerate scientific progress, potentially leading to better outcomes for these vulnerable infants. Okay, ready for another deep dive? This one takes us into the world of knowledge graphs.
Knowledge graphs are really cool. They're becoming increasingly important in various fields, including biomedicine.
Right, I've heard the term before, but honestly, I'm a bit fuzzy on the details. Can you give us a simple explanation of what knowledge graphs are and why they matter, particularly in the context of this study you sent in?
Think of a knowledge graph as a massive map of information where different concepts and entities are connected by relationships. For example, in a biomedical knowledge graph, you might have genes connected to diseases or drugs connected to side effects. This allows researchers to explore complex relationships between different pieces of information, making new discoveries and gaining deeper insights.
So it's like a Google search on steroids, but specifically designed for scientific research.
That's a great analogy. This particular study you sent in focuses on a new framework for representing genomic data in biomedical knowledge graphs. It's called the Homo sapiens chromosomal location ontology, and it provides a standardized way to incorporate genomic information into these knowledge graphs.
Okay, I'm sensing a theme here. It seems like a lot of these breakthroughs involve finding better ways to organize and integrate vast amounts of data.
You're absolutely right. As we generate more and more data in biology and medicine, it's becoming increasingly important to develop tools and frameworks that allow us to make sense of it all. Knowledge graphs are a powerful way to do just that.
Wow, this is truly fascinating stuff.
Okay.
We have time for one more study before we wrap up this part of our deep dive. This one caught my eye because it involves a nickel complex, something I haven't encountered since high school chemistry class.
Ah, yes. This study delves into the intricate world of molecular structures and interactions.
Can you refresh our memories about what a nickel complex is and why scientists are studying them?
A nickel complex is essentially a molecule that contains a nickel atom bound to other atoms or molecules called ligands. These complexes have a wide range of applications in chemistry and material science, from catalysts to sensors to even potential drugs.
So they're quite versatile little molecules. What did the researchers discover about this particular nickel complex?
They used a combination of experimental and computational methods to study its structure and properties. One of the key techniques they employed is called density functional theory, or DFT.
Can you give us a quick rundown of what DFT is and why it's useful in this context?
DFT is a powerful computational method used to study the electronic structure of molecules. It allows scientists to predict the behavior of molecules based on the principles of quantum mechanics.
So they're essentially using computer simulations to understand how this nickel complex behaves at a fundamental level.
Exactly. And the insights they gain from these simulations could inform the design of new materials or catalysts with enhanced properties.
This is such a great example of how computational methods are revolutionizing scientific research, allowing us to probe the world of molecules with incredible precision.
It's truly an exciting time to be in science. The boundaries between disciplines are blurring, and new technologies are empowering us to ask and answer questions that were once unimaginable.
Well, I don't know about you, but my brain is buzzing with all these incredible discoveries. We've covered so much ground today, from chicken genomes to heart-reading AI to the intricacies of nickel complexes.
And we're not done yet. There's still more to explore in the final part of our deep dive.
Hold on to your hats, folks, because we'll be right back to delve into even more fascinating research. Welcome back to the show. We've been on quite a journey today, exploring some truly remarkable advances in bioinformatics and computational biology.
It's amazing to see how fast this field is moving and how it's impacting so many different areas of science and medicine.
Right. It feels like every week there's a new breakthrough that has the potential to change the world. You know, before the break, we were discussing how researchers are using machine learning to engineer better enzymes. That IK strategy is really quite something.
Yeah, it's a fascinating approach. I'm particularly intrigued by how they're using similar strategies to identify new drug targets for complex diseases.
Speaking of which, you sent in this study about a new approach to treating hyperaldosteronism. This one really caught my eye.
Oh yeah, that's a great example of how bioinformatics is revolutionizing drug discovery. Instead of relying on traditional methods, which can be time-consuming and expensive, they're using this integrative approach to pinpoint potential targets for new medications.
So they're essentially harnessing the power of big data and computational analysis to find new ways to treat this condition.
Exactly. They're combining genomic data, protein interactions, and even clinical data from patients to identify promising targets.
And one target in particular stood out, right?
Yeah.
SHMT1.
Yes, SHMT1. It seems to play a key role in certain metabolic pathways that are dysregulated in hyperaldosteronism. So by targeting this molecule with new drugs, they could potentially address the root cause of the condition.
That's incredibly promising. It's like they're finding a way to fix the problem at its source, rather than just managing the symptoms.
Absolutely. Of course, more research is needed, but this study provides a solid foundation for developing new and more effective therapies.
This is such a hopeful development for people struggling with hyperaldosteronism. Okay, ready for one last deep dive before we wrap things up?
Sure, bring it on.
This one's all about 3D deep learning segmentation. Specifically, how researchers are enhancing it with something called biophysically motivated cell synthesis. I have to admit, I was a bit lost in the terminology at first.
Yeah, it's a bit of a mouthful, but the concept is really quite elegant. They're basically using our knowledge of biophysics, the physical laws that govern biological systems, to create synthetic cells.
Virtual cells, in essence.
Exactly. And they're using these virtual cells to train deep learning algorithms, along with real images, to improve the accuracy of 3D segmentation.
So they're teaching the AI not just from what it sees, but also from what we know about how cells actually work.
Precisely. And it turns out this approach leads to much better results. The AI becomes more accurate and reliable at identifying and outlining different cell types, even in complex and noisy images.
That's incredible. So it's not just about showing the AI a bunch of pictures. It's about giving it a deeper understanding of the underlying biology.
Absolutely. And this has huge implications for medical imaging, where precision is paramount. Imagine being able to diagnose diseases or plan surgeries with much greater accuracy, all thanks to AI that's been trained on both real and virtual cells.
Wow. As we wrap up today's deep dive, I'm struck by the sheer breadth and depth of the research we've covered. From chicken genomes to heart-reading AI to virtual cells, it's clear that technology is transforming the world of biology and medicine at an unprecedented pace.
And it's only going to accelerate from here. The future is full of possibilities.
It really is an exciting time to be following this field. Thanks for joining us on this incredible journey of scientific discovery. Until next time, stay curious and keep exploring.